The Middler. Chapter 1, Part 2. OK. Mayor Anderson stood in the middle of Mr. Webster's newly oiled floor, her hair drawn back in a straggly ponytail. I'm not going to beat around the bush and do all that what have you learned over the summer rubbish. I'll leave that to your teachers, eh? She gave us a wink and got a few sniggers back from the audience. Mrs. Zimmerman closed her eyes. But what I am going to do, the mayor went on, is tell you we've heard reports of wanderers 5 miles south of the town boundary. Wanderers. The sniggering stopped. Mrs. Zimmerman opened her eyes. A shiver crept across my shoulders. Yes, Mayor Anderson nodded. Yesterday I was up at the city, met with some colleagues. It's been a while since we had wanderers in our area, but their numbers appear to be increasing. She took a slow moment to look from one side of the hall to the other, catching as many of our eyes as she could. So she carried on. Why do we not want wanderers nearby? Anyone? Trigg stuck his arm up as high as he could get it, pushed it even higher with his other hand. Mayor Anderson couldn't miss him. Go on then, tell us, Trigg. There. Trigg looked up to the ceiling, the way you do when you're trying to remember something difficult. Dirty, dangerous, deceitful? Dirty, dangerous, deceitful. Mayor Anderson boomed the words back at us, counting them off on her fingers. And to think, she said, they're supposed to be on our side in this war. She clasped her hands behind her and swayed backwards and forwards with her feet stopped still. Our country is one of the few places, perhaps even the only place, that has kept the enemy at bay. Why is that, do you think? Trigg stuck his hand up again. Our geography has helped, for sure. Mayor Anderson nodded at Trigg, like he'd given her the answer, even though he hadn't. Along with our land's wonderful capacity for self-sufficiency. She nodded some more. But the real reason our country survives is us, our very selves. She held her arms wide. We are an adaptable people, stoic, brave. We understand the importance of hard work and sacrifice for a greater good. We have a long history of wartime resilience. It's in our blood, and the bravest of us all, of course, are our elders. She looked at Jed and Lindy. They nudged shoulders again. At camp, said Mayor Anderson, our elders joined the quiet war. They fight valiantly, they fight heroically, they fight so that we, back home, can remain safe. My one and only child, Caroline, went to camp 10 years ago this very month. I couldn't be more proud. We clapped for Caroline. The mayor held up a hand. But, she said, the wanderers do not send their eldest to camp. She did a slow shake of her head. They are protected from the enemy by our brave heroes, but they selfishly keep their own eldest close. They disobey Andrew Salisbury's edict that decrees we must all send our eldest to camp. They deny their families the opportunity to live in a town in a civilised manner, and they deny their eldest the opportunity to fight for their country. They are dirty, dangerous and deceitful. Do we want their kind anywhere near us here in Fenniswick? No, Mayor Anderson. And more than that, the mayor leaned in towards us and lowered her voice to a whisper. More than that, you're aware of the horror wreaked by the wanderers the last time they ventured close to Fenniswick. My own sister was among the casualties. She dropped her eyes to the floor. A littlest at the front began to cry. Trigg's knees started jiggling. So, the mayor took a deep breath and lifted her head. What can we do to keep ourselves safe? What's the most important rule of all? Never go beyond the boundary! Trigg burst out. Abso-blooming-lutely, Trigg. Never go beyond the boundary. Follow the rule and you'll be safe from wanderers. Remember, dirty, dangerous, deceitful. Yes, Mayor Anderson, we nodded. So how about we sing our boundary song to finish? Mr. Temple, would you accompany us on the piano? Mr. Temple lifted the lid of the piano. He interlaced his fingers and turned them inside out. Clicking echoed all around the hall. Oh, a quick reminder before we start singing. Mayor Anderson wasn't smiling anymore. Going beyond a town boundary isn't only a risk to yourself, it puts the whole of Fenniswick in danger. Your friends, your family, your neighbours. and anyone who puts Fenniswick in danger could be subject to a very serious punishment indeed. So, let's keep everyone safe, eh? Now, carry on, Mr. Temple. The crying littlest cried even louder.